I think this book was recommended to me because I read a retelling of The Beauty and the Beast that was absolute rubbish, and you've seen the read along for that, so I don't need to complain any further. But I think that's why this book was recommended to me, and whew, it was steamy. Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat, and today I would like to talk about A Ruin of Roses by K.F. Breene, the first part in the deliciously dark retelling of The Beauty and the Beast. In the story, Finley is the only one keeping a disease at bay which would further diminish the numbers of the people in a kingdom full of shifters, which was cursed and prevents everybody from shifting into their animal forms. To prevent further deaths from this disease, Finley has to venture into the woods and collect herbs that she can not get anywhere else. But one night she gets caught by the prince and last dragon shifter, but instead of killing her as he is entitled to, he takes her back to his castle as a prisoner. Steam warning first. The scenes between the protagonists and some of the bits the side characters do as like a background action, let's call it that, get very explicit, so if you do not want to read about detailed descriptions of private parts, this is not the book for you. Our protagonist, Finley, seems fine to me. She is headstrong and does her own thing, and obviously she has a goal in mind. She wants to keep people from dying and is willing to risk a lot for it. So as far as the main character goes, she's okay. Her counterpart, the prince, is mostly a jerk and fairly changeable, I think. Like 1 minute he's somewhat nice to her, the next he's back to being a jerk. And for no reason I could discern, so a bit meh of a love interest for now, I think. And the side character Finley interacts with most, the butler, is pretty much Seth incorporated. He is supposed to be funny, I have to assume, but the sass went so far that it read almost like a caricature, and I don't know, this particular character I guess was not really for me, but I've seen worse too, so you know, if you really like your sass, then maybe this guy is for you. I was not too fussed with most of the side characters. While the scenes between Finley and Nyfain, the prince, are fine, I mean they're obviously steamy and explicit, but they were fine, you also get the backdrop of some of the characters getting it on at like orgies, because that's all they have to do all day, I guess. You could be doing useful things, but orgies are the way to go in this castle. And you get some descriptions of that as well while Finley walks past and is sometimes aghast and never joins in. And I'm not sure I needed those descriptions necessarily, but they're in there as well. Now my two main issues with this, one was a choice by the author, I would say, and the other was the world building. So the world building is chaotic, I would say. You have like the shifter thing that is going on, you have the curse going on, but then there are demons. And it felt like every time any character explains anything about the world to Finley, for the bits she doesn't know or in general, it just alters what you've been told before, or it adds more things on that just make it more confusing. I still couldn't tell you how exactly this curse works, or what anybody has to do to break it, or what role the demons actually play beyond partaking in the orgies at the castle. I don't know. I feel like the world building in this was all over the place, and because it's a steamy retelling, I guess it's also not the focal point of the story anyway, but a little less confusion would have helped me at least. And the other thing is a choice by the author. So this book starts with a prologue. Already, you know, if you really need a prologue, if it makes sense for the story, if you place in a completely different time or whatever, okay. But the book pretty much starts out with a nightmare of Finley's, and then she wakes up in chapter 1. So I don't think you really needed this as a prologue. It could have just been incorporated in chapter 1 anyway, because you're sticking to this cliche anyway. But because she starts off with a prologue and something that happens 9 years back, Finley is 14 years old when this book starts. And I'm sorry, but if you sell me a steamy retelling and then you present me with the main character like, hey, she's 14 years old, then I recoil in terror, because that's not the protagonist you should have for something that is advertised as steamy. Therefore, I think you could have just started this with chapter 1 and a slightly misleading first line, like Finley tossing around in her bed all sweaty and worked up or whatever. And then instead of starting off with the steamy, you get the nightmare instead, because she wakes up from this nightmare at the very beginning anyway. But do not let your audience, for a book that is for adults only, think for 1 second that your main character is a minor. That's, no. I only made it past the prologue because it said prologue at the top. Had it just been chapter 1, I would have been like, oh hell no. I don't know how this got past people, but hell no. So yeah, that was a choice by the author that was a bit out there, I think. So overall, if you just want world building as a vague backdrop and you care for your steamy scenes, then this might be for you. Because the world building was so confusing and the steamy stuff is just there for me, I don't particularly care. I think it's overall this cat. It was better than A Court of Thorns and Roses, but you know, the bar was pretty low there. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll be back next week with another video. Like and subscribe if you want to help this channel out. And do let me know your favorite retelling, steamy or otherwise, in the comments. Bye folks!